It's so strange and frustrating that you really can't hold anything in your hand, because it's like sometimes you have an insight and this moment is eternal. So it feels like, okay, I'll have this insight forever. And the next thing I know, I'm overtaken like by some sludgy tsunami of God knows what. And suddenly all the pointers, all the advice, all the so called insights seem trite and annoying and not applicable. And so it's like, and you don't really have like a stable self to cling to and to mitigate what's happening. So yeah, it really is a roller coaster. And you can't control it. You can't tell it what to do. When you feel despair, you just feel despair. I am getting better at, for example, resting in despair, because for for so much of my life, I feel like most of my life, there's always this sort of like, okay, when the kids are out of diapers, okay, when the kitchen's clean, okay, when, you know, I mean, I don't know, it's like I never have to maintain a car again. Whatever, it's like there's this sort of pull for order and stasis and ease that's always out of reach. It's always ahead of me. And I know, I mean, that's like, Enlightenment 101 is like, be here now, rest in the present moment. Uh, but that pull, that restlessness, it's yeah, and I can't resist it. I can't tell it to stop. I can't tell it to go away. But it's the same with states of I don't know, states of consciousness. It's like, oh, I'm in the washing machine. When is this going to be over? And it's like, oh, I'm in bliss. Yeah, this is going to last forever. So it's like there's nowhere to rest. But actually there is somewhere to rest. Not just in the sensations, not just in the perceptions. I mean, I guess in a sense that is it. I mean, thoughts too. You can rest in thoughts, by which I mean you can. I can sometimes watch them come and go with excellent equanimity. But like today, I was cleaning the cat's litter box, and some little grumbly voice is like, "How is this spiritual?" And then it's like, "Oh, well, look at the shapes and the textures. Yeah, that's really nice. It's blue, and and I'm kind of like, another voice is like annoyed by both of them, like, just scoop the fucking poop, and then I just kind of noticed like all that can come and go. Some chatter. It's fine. You don't have to buy into any of it. And then suddenly I was kind of in just genuinely in the moment, not thinking about the moment, not spiritualizing the moment, not whatever we try to control and color and make something out of it, but just very simply scooping and shaking and dumping and just happening. And that did feel restful. And then Shakira's song Hips Don't Lie came on in my brain station. And sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that happens to spiritual people too. That's totally fine. And it's like, why do I need to comment on that? Just like literally just, that's what the station's playing right now. Who cares? Bob your head a little bit, whatever. If you want to. I mean, whatever happens, happens. I don't know. This pointer's not going to work next time I need it. It doesn't make any sense. We don't really have words to distinguish. And even if we do, the words don't always penetrate whatever conditioning is. I don't know, working itself through, working itself out, playing with itself, doing its thing. Is there something that can even decide how to relate to any of that? Like last night I played soccer with my team, and I got on the field, and all of a sudden this huge wave of sadness rolled over me. And when that huge wave of sadness, it's like the trees are sad, the sky is sad, the grass is sad. And there's this guilt, like, oh, why am I making the whole world sad right now? Shouldn't I appreciate the beauty of the trees in the sky? And then I was like, no. Sadness is fine. Rest in the sadness. Sadness can be here. And as soon as or something, whatever the hell, makes any decisions, as soon as that happened, the feeling was no longer exactly identifiable. Something maybe a little sweet, a little tinged with melancholy, but nothing you could grasp onto, nothing you could label. And suddenly the colors were, and again, words aren't going to work very well, but the colors were kind of more friendly. And the space was both more spacious and more intimate. And then pretty soon, I don't know, like the ball maybe came to me, and then the next thing happened. I sort of didn't think about the sadness again or the alleged sadness. The hastily labeled sadness that, upon closer examination, turned out to be completely indeterminate. Yeah, it wasn't in my experience anymore. Oh, goodness. In your experience, not in your experience. Pointers make sense, pointers don't make sense. Also, I was reading today about Adi Da, who was, kind of a spiritual guru guy, who it's pretty clear, and I was also reading about Ken Wilber, it's pretty clear both of these guys actually, well, who really knows, honestly? From what has been reported about them, and sometimes from what how they seem to operate, present themselves. It seems like they never actually transcended their ego at all. They the Adi Da maybe had lots of spiritual experiences. Ken Wilber maybe had a lot of great ideas, but when it was time for the rubber to meet the road, they were like babes in the woods in a way. And it's quite tragic. There's so many more tools and so much more knowledge at our disposal now than there was even 20 years ago. But at any time, of course, you get sort of up into the weeds of your own ideas too much, and you can kind of get precious about them, defensive about them. You can identify with them, and then you're kind of lost. From what I can see, could be wrong. And it could simply be that through no fault of anyone's own, souls are being incarnated now. I use all that language lightly, whatever. People are being born. With some kind of edge up that just wasn't available 20, 30, 50 years ago. I mean, Ramana Maharshi seems like and the Buddha, probably, Jesus, they had pretty good bead on, transcendent reality, whatever you want to call it. But, the teacher dies, the teaching gets reported, and the game of telephone happens, and then it gets diluted, and then it gets entrenched, and then it gets politicized, and, on and on. It's like unrecognizable pretty quick. Because it's just the force of whatever it is that conditions us to want control and domination. Is so overwhelming in our species so far. I mean, it's a pretty young species. It's a pretty young species. Like Martin Ball calls them God toddlers. Yeah. It's actually quite remarkable how much relative progress has been made in a lot of ways. And of course, just like in our own personal selves, there's an expansion and then contraction. And then a sort of cautious, like, okay. Oh, shit. And some of that's manufactured. Some of that is manipulated, like saying kids in schools are using litter boxes because they identify as cats. Not fucking happening. But or like loads of kids are getting gender reassignments or gender affirming surgery, which by far the most common gender affirming surgery, and it's not common at all, but the most common gender affirming surgery is males trying to look more male by getting rid of excess breast tissue. Is that so terrifying? I mean, it's kind of the opposite of what they claim to be upset about. Anyhow, and there's a kind of confidence that comes with and maybe misplaced confidence, but at the moment, a sense of confidence in sort of being able to look at Adi Da and Ken Wilber from 30,000 feet and kind of see the trajectory of what went wrong, of what seemed to have gone wrong. And to realize I don't have to make the same mistakes. Not that I'm going to be any spiritual leader or intellectual leader, but just as a person. I don't have to be terrified that I'm going to be an abuser. I don't have to be terrified that I'm going to be a defensive, insular weirdo. Because I look inside and that's not what I see. And I can't see beyond this moment right here. I'm doing good if I can see this moment clearly, much less anything beyond it. So anything's possible. But right at this moment, I actually can rest in being who I am without constant anxiety of what I might become. If, God forbid, I become more present, more integrated into the fabric of reality. And I also have friends and contacts who can check me if things start to get weird. In a bad way. So yeah, it's been a little bit tumultuous in the past while, and it feels like it's settling down for now into a place where I can rest in unease. I can rest in sadness. I can rest in truly rest in it, and not just like, I'm resting in it, when's it gonna go away, but genuinely like, hello sadness, my old friend. I don't know who's doing that. But I'm probably never gonna know. I mean, not in any way I can pin down, not any way I can define. It's just happening. And I can rest in whatever this incarnation happens to be. It's probably not, all the fears, anxieties, insecurities that still kind of buzz around. They probably don't have a clear view of reality than whatever it is that can rest in what is. I got some pretty good, a few instances of pretty good validation in the past couple weeks. And honestly, that kind of triggered some pretty gnarly, I guess you call it imposter syndrome. Just like, no, if they really knew how messed up I am in so many ways, they would, and then another arrow like, oh, why do you have this like imposter syndrome? It's so 6 months ago. It's so 6 years ago. It's so such a basic thing to fall into, right? So judging myself, judging others for this very common thing, common and understandable thing. And now it's kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I felt invisible as a child. I felt constantly like there's no way to win against parents who were more powerful and less mature than me. And I didn't have I didn't have the resources to hold limits or boundaries or do other things to protect myself other than shut down. If I fought back, I lost. If I didn't fight back, I felt like, just shut down or dismissed or whatever. So if that's your formative experience, then it's normal for your default state to be like, I can't possibly win. And even if somebody's nice to me for a while, it's gonna crash back to the real. So-called reality of, okay, yeah, actually, nobody really cares. Because they're not capable of setting themselves aside enough to really see someone else. But I can. I have the very lucky chance to be able to be someone who can put myself aside because, the whole thing can just get triggering because it's like, oh, I have no self. Yeah, that's familiar, but it's actually quite a quite different thing. But I have a chance to get to a place where I'm transparent, effectively, not invisible, transparent. I'm not ignored. I'm not dismissed. I'm just not at the center of anything. As a kid, you're supposed to be the center of somebody's world, in a sense, As an adult, not really. It can happen. A partnership is great, and obviously my family is the center of my relative world. But even in my family, being able to not be kind of like keeping score and resenting things that were not intentional, assuming goodwill. These are all things that I can do for the people that I care about. And I don't feel so like hungry for love or validation. The self doesn't need anything. It can rest in whatever's happening. I'm lucky to be surrounded by people who aren't trying to cheat me out of anything. It's a good place to be. And I don't need to be trying to get anything from anyone else either. I mean, we all contribute because that's what's happening. Because we care about each other. Because we want to. And I can rest in this, this family that I have gathered around me as long as it exists as a unit. I can really cherish it because not always how things go. And it's not going to last forever. Nothing does. And it's so important to be right here with it, not constantly somewhere else in my mind. And I'm getting better at that. And that's a huge gift from this non-dual path.